The pungent aroma of stale beer clung to me like a second skin as I fumbled with my keys, the world tilting slightly on its axis. It had been one of those nights, the kind that bled into the next morning, leaving you with a throbbing headache and a fuzzy memory. Reaching my apartment door, I mumbled the access code, the stale air of the hallway a welcome change from the smoky bar. Inside, the usual dim glow from the living room TV was absent. Instead, an eerie silence hung heavy in the air, punctuated only by the steady hiss of the shower in my roommate's room. Exhaustion gnawed at me, but the sound of the running water held an unsettling persistence. 4 hours? Had it really been on that long? Normally, my roommate, Alex, wasn't a chatty guy, but we had a comfortable routine. 3 months of cohabitation had established a rhythm, respectful greetings, shared chores, and the unspoken agreement not to pry into each other's lives. Tonight, however, the silence felt oppressive, broken only by the relentless cascade of water. Tossing my bag on the couch, I stumbled towards the kitchen, the familiar ache in my empty stomach a stark reminder of the forgotten dinner. As I fumbled for a granola bar, a flicker of movement in the hallway caught my eye. Squinting through the dim light, I saw Alex's silhouette slink past, clad only in a pair of boxers. He mumbled a barely audible greeting before disappearing into his room, the shower abruptly cutting off in his wake. Relief washed over me momentarily. Maybe the water pressure had just been acting up. But the feeling was short-lived. Just as I settled back on the couch, a new sound emerged from Alex's room, the unmistakable click of the shower turning back on. My brow furrowed. This was getting strange. Ignoring the gnawing unease in my gut, I pulled out my laptop, desperate for a distraction. Halfway through a compilation of epic fails, drowsiness began to pull at my eyelids. The rhythmic whoosh of the shower seemed to lull me further, its persistence morphing into a monotonous white noise. Just as I was on the verge of sleep, a jarring buzz cut through the air, a text notification on my phone. With a sigh, I reached for it, the name Alex flashing on the screen. An odd warmth bloomed in my chest. Maybe he finally wanted to hang out, watch a movie, or just shoot the breeze. But the message that greeted me sent a jolt of ice straight down my spine. Hey man, I couldn't sleep, so I went over to my girlfriend's place. Not sure when I'll be back. My heart hammered against my ribs. Alex was single. He had been ever since I'd moved in. And there was no way he'd forget to mention a sudden girlfriend, especially not through a text. Confusion morphed into a cold dread that coiled tightly in my stomach. Then it hit me. The inexplicable shower. The cryptic text. The unsettling silence. A horrifying realization dawned on me. Someone was in my apartment, and it wasn't Alex. Panic clawed its way up my throat, choking off any rational thought. My gaze darted around the dimly lit living room, searching for any anomaly, any sign of intrusion. But everything seemed undisturbed. Still, the chilling reality of the situation sent shivers down my spine. Someone was using Alex's shower, someone who shouldn't be there. The first instinct, the most primal one, was to flee. But a strange sense of responsibility, a loyalty to my absent roommate, held me back. I couldn't just abandon the apartment, not with a potential intruder lurking within. My phone, clutched tightly in my still trembling hand, seemed to mock me with its uselessness. Calling Alex wouldn't achieve anything. The text message, whether genuine or a ploy, confirmed he was nowhere near the apartment. Reporting a hunch to the police felt equally futile. Without any concrete evidence, they'd likely write it off as a drunken hallucination. Trapped in my own apartment, the relentless drumming of the shower transformed from a monotonous background noise into a menacing rhythm, a constant reminder of the unseen presence. Minutes stretched into an eternity, each tick of the clock echoing my escalating fear. Finally, after what felt like an hour, though the clock stubbornly displayed only 10 minutes past, the sound abruptly ceased. The sudden silence, far from offering relief, only intensified the tension. Every creak of the floorboards, every groan from the old pipes, sent my heart leaping into my throat. My mind conjured up horrifying scenarios, a shadowy figure emerging from the bathroom, the glint of a blade flashing in the dim light. I found myself holding my breath, straining to hear any movement, any hint of what might be lurking on the other side of the thin wall. Then, a sound. A soft thud, followed by the unmistakable click of the lock on Alex's bedroom door. My breath hitched. The intruder, whoever it was no longer confined to the bathroom. Adrenaline surged through my veins, momentarily overriding the crippling fear. I couldn't stay put, not with the unknown predator roaming free within the apartment. But what could I do? I was unarmed, unprepared for such a bizarre situation. A glance at the kitchen counter offered a grim reminder of my limited options: a dull butter knife and a half-empty bottle of wine. Neither seemed particularly effective against a potential attacker. Just as despair threatened to consume me, a new thought emerged. Escape. Maybe fleeing was the only viable option. I could alert the authorities from outside, from somewhere safe. With a silent prayer for success, I tiptoed towards the living room window, casting nervous glances at Alex's closed bedroom door. The fire escape, a rickety metal structure clinging precariously to the side of the building, seemed like my only escape route. It wasn't exactly a graceful exit, but right now, desperate circumstances called for desperate measures. Reaching the window, I fumbled with the rusty lock, my heart pounding a frantic tattoo against my ribs. With a final creak, the window yielded, allowing in a rush of cool night air. Just as I was about to clamber onto the fire escape, a chilling sound pierced the silence, the unmistakable sound of footsteps approaching. The blood drained from my face as the sound of approaching footsteps echoed down the hallway. My carefully constructed plan of escape evaporated, replaced by a primal fear that threatened to paralyze me. I scrambled back a few steps, desperately searching for a hiding place. The apartment wasn't exactly spacious, offering few options for concealment. The flimsy closet in the living room was laughable, and the space under the couch barely offered enough room for a small pet, let alone a grown man. My eyes darted around the room, landing on the balcony door for a fleeting moment before dismissing it. There was nowhere to go outside. Panic constricted my throat, making it difficult to breathe. Just as I braced myself for the inevitable confrontation, a new sound reached my ears, the faint jingle of keys followed by the soft click of the deadbolt. Relief, so sudden and intense it almost knocked me off my feet, washed over me. "Hey man, you awake?" Alex's voice, groggy and slightly slurred, called out from the hallway. Tears welled up in my eyes, threatening to spill over. Never had a voice sounded so sweet, so reassuring. "Alex?" I croaked, my voice barely above a whisper. "Yeah, it's me," he said, confusion creeping into his tone. "What's going on? Why are you standing there in the dark?" The dam broke. The events of the night, the relentless shower, the cryptic text, the approaching footsteps, they all spilled out in a torrent of words. As I spoke, a shaky laugh escaped my lips, a nervous release from the tension that had gripped me for the past hour. Alex listened patiently, his brow furrowed in concern. When I finished, there was a long, uncomfortable silence. "Look," he finally said, his voice serious, "are you feeling all right? Maybe you should lay down, get some sleep. You sound exhausted." His words stung, a flicker of doubt igniting within me. Had I imagined the whole thing? The exhaustion from the long night at the bar, the lingering effects of the alcohol, could they have conjured up this elaborate scenario in my head? Shamefaced, I mumbled an apology, attributing my fear to the leftover anxiety from the drinks. Alex, ever easygoing, simply shrugged it off. He assured me everything was fine and promised to lock the door behind him next time he went out late. Exhausted and emotionally drained, I retreated to my room, collapsing onto the bed. Despite the lingering unease, sleep came quickly, washing away the remnants of the night's terror. The next morning, I woke up feeling refreshed, the events of the previous night a hazy memory. But as I stepped out of the bedroom, a nagging doubt lingered. Was it all just a bad dream, or was there something more sinister lurking beneath the surface? My gaze fell on Alex's room. The door was slightly ajar, and a strange sound emanated from within, a soft, rhythmic dripping. It wasn't the steady flow of a shower, but a slow, deliberate drip, drip, drip. A shiver ran down my spine as the memory of the night flooded back, the endless shower, the chilling silence, the approaching footsteps. The nagging doubt transformed into a cold, hard certainty. Something wasn't right. The rhythmic drip, drip, drip echoed in the silent apartment, a counterpoint to the frantic hammering in my heart. Every instinct screamed at me to turn around, to retreat to the safe haven of my room and forget about the unsettling sound. But a morbid curiosity, laced with a sliver of lingering fear, kept me rooted to the spot. Taking a deep breath, I inched closer to Alex's room, the door ajar like a beckoning maw. The rhythmic dripping grew louder, each drop sending a jolt of nervous energy through me. Hesitantly, I pushed the door open a crack, peering into the dimly lit room. The first thing that struck me was the absence of light from the bathroom. The door stood ajar, a sliver of darkness peeking through. The source of the dripping, however, wasn't the bathroom. It was coming from the bed. My breath hitched in my throat. In the center of the mattress, a dark stain bloomed, steadily growing larger with each passing drip. A metallic tang, sharp and acrid, filled the air, sending a wave of nausea washing over me. Fear clawed its way up my throat, choking back any rational thought. My hand instinctively reached for my phone, the screen glowing faintly in the dim light. Should I call the police? Call Alex? But what would I tell them? That I heard a strange noise and found a suspicious stain? Suddenly, a muffled groan reached my ears, jolting me back to reality. It came from the bathroom, a low, guttural sound that sent chills down my spine. Panic seized me. There was someone in there, someone hurt. Ignoring the primal urge to flee, I took a tentative step forward, the floorboards groaning beneath my weight. The groan from the bathroom intensified, followed by a soft thud. Someone, or something, had fallen. Without a second thought, I lunged towards the bathroom door, throwing it open with a force that rattled the hinges. The scene that greeted me was one I would never forget. Alex lay sprawled on the cold tile floor, his face contorted in a grimace of pain. Blood, a sickening crimson, pooled beneath him, staining his clothes and the white porcelain. But the most disturbing sight wasn't the blood, it was the gaping mound on his chest, a ragged tear that seemed to pulsate with an unnatural rhythm. And from the wound, a single dark teardrop, devoid of any moisture, dripped onto the floor with a sickening plop. Just as I opened my mouth to scream, a chilling voice, raspy and barely audible, whispered from the corner of the room. "Don't worry, he won't be needing that anymore." My gaze darted towards the source of the voice, but the corner remained shrouded in darkness. A wave of dizziness washed over me, and the world began to spin. The last thing I saw before the darkness consumed me was a shadowy figure detach itself from the wall, its form impossibly tall and thin, its eyes glowing with an eerie red light.